My name is Alexandra Westrich. I started here as a volunteer in October of 2009, and then in the spring of the following year, I got hired as a collections assistant. I went to art school, and even though they didn't really have any illustration classes, I was always drawn to illustration. So I had that background, and I wasn't doing so much art when I started working at the Field Museum. But then Corey announced this exhibit that was going to be coming up. She mentioned that they did want to have this sort of comic book theme, and when she said that, I mentioned to her that I used to do cartoons, and if they hadn't already given the position to anyone else, if they wouldn't mind if I did some drawings for them. And then they wrote out sort of a draft text of the narrative with hypothetical speech bubbles. I drew out thumbnail sketches of sort of like each of the frames and how it would correspond to the text. And from there I did sort of larger scale drawings of all of the frames and scanned them and did a little photo editing and then gave them to the graphic designer for the exhibit, and he in turn had them all printed out and mounted them on the wall. For smaller drawings it wouldn't take more than a few hours, but for the really big complicated drawings it would be more like 4 or 5 hours. The room when Corey is sort of a teenager, she's sitting in her bedroom, and I really wanted to put a lot of details in with like music posters and records on the floor. Because of all the visual research that went into that, it took pretty much a whole day. I think that's one of the better images in the whole exhibit, so I'm happy with it. I have so much admiration for all the people that I'm working with, especially Corey. She's just an amazing, accomplished individual. She's definitely been an inspiration for me as an aspiring entomologist. But I think that show is great because it does illustrate what it took to get her to where she is now. She's always been very passionate about ants and nature, so I'm hoping other children who see the show will be similarly inspired.